Leilani Dowding has gone viral all across the world for her impassioned and emotional response to Huw Edwards, the BBC's biggest star presenter, avoiding jail despite admitting to having child sex videos on his own phones. Here's her emotional plea.
I don't have children, but I think they are the most important things in the world. They are the most important things. So when someone has pictures of children being raped and then they don't spend a single day in jail, I don't understand how that's justice. And I'm really upset because, like I said, I think children are the most important things in the world. And I'm angry, and that's why I'm crying. I'm so angry because it's frustration, and it's like, what can we do? What can we do about it? When we don't have a justice system, when they'll lock people, like you go out and you protest and you get angry or you make threats against paedophiles, they'll come and lock you up. They'll come and lock you up for saying something. There are people sitting in jail because of Facebook posts right now, like literally sitting in jail for 2 years, 3 years. Some of the people that follow me, and this fucking guy has got off, and the people that sent him, the person that sent him the pictures has got off. Are we going to protect the children?
And unfortunately, the answer to that is no. Now, that video, Leilani, well done, by the way, because sometimes it's really hard to put yourself out there with that type of raw emotion, but it's hit a nerve because I think that is how so many millions were feeling yesterday. We've had to suffer through weeks, Leilani, of seeing people locked up, and we'll talk about some of them literally sending a tweet, but paedophiles avoid jail. Something has gone so wrong with our system.
Well, this is the thing, Dan. I looked at the news in the morning and I'd seen him walking into the court with his head held high, almost like he was on a red carpet, gave a wave, nod, smile, thank you, walked in there, and I thought, this guy knows something. This isn't a guy who's holding his head in shame because he's got pictures of children being raped on his phone. He's holding his head up high. This is messed up. So anyway, I had a nice morning with my horses, put them away. They were happy. And I looked at the news and I saw it there in black and white. He suspended sentence. He will not spend a day in jail. And I was so angry. It was like I was going to explode. I was so angry. And then I got inside the house. I thought, I'm going to talk about this. And then I just couldn't help myself, Dan. Every time I said, children are the most important thing, it just filled me. Like it was angry tears, but upset tears as well. Because and then I'm thinking, this is why people don't want to look at these heinous crimes. This is why people bury their head in the sand, because it brings up these emotions. And to me, it was uncontrollable. I was angry and I was sad at the same time. And this is me as an onlooker. I've got no experience of this. I'm just looking in on it, seeing, man with child rape pictures gets off jail. So how do the victims feel? How do the victims feel? How does every child that's been molested or had their pictures spread around, how do they feel when you hear that? And you know what it does? It emboldens the paedophiles, because now every paedophile will look at that and go, oh, whew, we're safe. If we spread pictures around, as long as we didn't take the videos of these children being raped, we can share them and not spend a day in jail. And that's what's happening here. And I don't know who's to blame. Is it the justice system for not looking him away? Is it the court? What is it? I don't know, but it has to change, because people are disgusted. People are so disgusted. People that don't even get political about things, people that are on the left, on the right, people are disgusted about this. Everyone is. And if this doesn't wake people up, because there's no grey area here, You're either for the evil or you're against it. And, you know, if you can give that guy any kind of excuse or say that was a fair sentence, then you're sick. You are absolutely sick and you are not a good person.
And June, it is interesting, isn't it? Because I've heard a lot of the MSM try and justify the sentence. But the thing is, the Chief Magistrate, Paul Goldspring, who was the person who decided that Huw Edwards shouldn't go to jail, do you know, June, that was the same man who sent to jail the young bloke with learning difficulties who accosted Chris Whitty. Do you remember that? He just made a video of himself with Chris Whitty around London. He went, oh, Chris Whitty. And he wasn't all there. And he got sent to jail, June, by the same judge, or Chief Magistrate, I should say.
Well, there is no justice. We've got to forget it. You can't rely on the justice system. It's a fallacy because too much has gone on. These people go into jail for tweets, angry tweets that they've later taken down and getting 2 years and no bail. And then you get a despicable character. Is a pervert. Huw Edwards is a pervert. He's perverted. He's sick. There's something wrong with him. He's not wired up right. He's just got away with being able to pretend to be decent. And that's why he got to read the news and got to host so many shows, because he pretended to us that he was decent. And that's what we expect from our presenters. But he's not decent. He's weird. He's perverted. He's strange. And he gets his rocks off by looking at kiddie porn. Now, the other thing, porn, if the BBC journalist reporting on this said he was looking at child pornography, child porn pictures. There's no such thing as child porn, because porn would lead you to believe that there's a porn star, because that's an industry. Porn is an industry. Like it or not, it's an industry. These kids didn't get a say in the matter.
Well, actually, June, let me just interrupt briefly, because you refer to that, and actually there was a man outside the court who confronted the BBC reporter Seema Chatinda for that reason. So let's just have a look and you can react off the bat.
Excuse me, are you Seema Chatinda?
So we just want to go live, so we're not in a position.
Did you just refer to child abuse imagery as being child porn? Did you refer to child abuse imagery as being child porn?
Excuse me,
Were the victims in those images? Porn stars then? Don't touch me again!
Push over.
Don't touch me!
You're trying to push over the barrier. You're trying to push over the
I'm
barrier.
having to shout. Why did you call it child porn? Why did you call it child porn?
Are you able to intervene?
Flattering on me. Okay, just
Get out of the way.
And of course she wouldn't speak to him. And actually, June, there was another BBC report, and I'll just show a very brief moment from it, that also was accused of showing sympathy to Huw Edwards.
Intently emotional as the court heard about his mental health problems, his suicide risk, and an upbringing where his failure to get into Oxford left him feeling like an outsider at the BBC.
June, your response?
His failure to get into Oxford, so that would take us back, what, 40 years? Grow up, man. Grow up. This is a pervert that they're making excuses for because they employed him, like they employed Jimmy Savile, like they employed Rolf Harris, how many more? It's just like a paedophile ring. You could be forgiven for thinking there's something really despicable going on here. This man has no shame. He's, as Leilani said, he went into court with his head held high. I would die 1,000 deaths if I'd been caught out for doing something like this. And that's the difference between people who have integrity. Huw Edwards isn't sorry. Huw Edwards is sorry he's been caught, because otherwise it would have been a confession. He would have come clean beforehand and said, I can't cope, I can't carry on doing this anymore. But he hasn't done that. He's been caught. So all these sob stories after you're caught, they don't wash with me. That's just not good enough. You're not that sorry. If you could have continued to this day, he'd still be doing it. And he'd still be sitting down reading you your news, pretending to be a decent person.
And the BBC today, astonishingly, Leilani, ran a new report about their Director General being interviewed by another BBC presenter discussing whether Huw Edwards would return to work at the BBC. It's like, oh my goodness, they just don't get it. Watch this.
Edwards will also be placed on the sex offenders register for 7 years. In July, the former newsreader admitted having 41 images which were sent to him on WhatsApp, including some showing a victim aged between 7 and 9. I can also give you a bit more detail on what the Director General has been saying. It's an RTS, a Royal Television Society event in central London at which he has been speaking. He said, I can't see Huw Edwards working at the corporation again. I can't see that happening for obvious reasons. He went on to say, the man has just been convicted of appalling crimes and it's pretty straightforward in my mind. I can't see him working here again. Talking to BBC presenter Amol Rajan there at the RTS convention in London. Now, he also went on to say that discussions are ongoing about getting the $200,000 back from Huw Edwards that he earned and continued to earn after he had been arrested and after word of his arrest had been known to some of his bosses. Tim Davie said, we want the money back.
Leilani, it's like they have no idea of how serious this is, of how reprehensible this is. If it was a private company, it would be shut by now. I mean, Leilani, we were discussing just a couple of weeks ago how there are growing theories that Jill Dando was murdered because she wanted to blow the whistle on the paedophile ring that we know existed at the BBC in the 90s and had done for many decades. And here we are in 2024 and they've shielded another paedophile. But first, if you've been following my channel, you know I've talked about Verso before. They were my first ever sponsor for a reason. I've been using their products since earlier this year, initially drawn to the longevity benefits, the feeling more youthful, the having more energy, enhanced cognition, better sleep, all of that sort of stuff. But there was an unexpected bonus I started to notice. Salbein by Verso isn't just about slowing down the aging process, it's packed with research-based ingredients that also promote fat loss. These ingredients have been proven in both animal and human studies to boost metabolism and improve body composition through a variety of body mechanisms. One aspect is how these ingredients increase the body's process to break down fat and act as a calorie restriction, mimetic, essentially fooling your body into thinking it's consuming fewer calories. They also help regulate glucose and leptin levels, which suppress hunger and increase feelings of fullness, effectively curbing cravings. Now, I take Salbein every day to feel like a younger version of myself, combating the signs of aging, which is amazing on its own. Experiencing fat loss, though, is an added bonus and something I'm very happy about. Plus, Verso ensures transparency and quality by publishing third-party testing results for each batch they produce, so you know exactly what you're paying for. Click the link in the description on YouTube and Rumble or head over to ver.so and use the coupon code Outspoken at checkout to save 15% on your first order. To repeat, that's buy.ver.so, www.buy.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code Outspoken.
That's right. And the language that they're using, so soft. Oh, I can't see him coming back. You know, that was me. I'd be absolutely not, under no circumstances, will that convicted man ever step foot in one of our buildings again. You don't say, oh, no, I can't see it happening. It's disgraceful. The softening of it is disgraceful. Every single little bit of it is disgusting. The whole handling of it, the whole thing, honestly, it makes me so sick and it makes me so emotional because I just sit there and I just think of the victims and what this has done and how this has emboldened so many of those perverts around this country to think that they can do whatever they want. I'm just beyond disgusted with the whole of it. And you know what? The sad thing about it, Dan, is it didn't surprise me. And you know why? Because I was looking at sentences, and I've discussed this on your show before. I looked at sentences that some of the judges handed out to non-violent people involved somehow, but non-violently with the protests. And the same judges would lock those people up for 2 years, a year, 18 months, 3 years, and then let people with child pornography, abuse, rape pictures, would let them have suspended sentences. It's the most horrific thing. And the man that sent him the pictures also got
avoided.
So,
and I mean, he was literally making the pictures. Well, Leilani, given you've raised it, I really want to talk about Wayne O'Rourke, who I know you have been talking about as well. So this is a guy who the judge described as a keyboard warrior. He's 35 years old. He told people in Southport to get out on the street. He was jailed for 3 years. Now, Leilani, he was of good character, by the way. You tweeted, Wayne, who follows me on X, was jailed for, I mean, you said 2 years, but it's 3 years, Leilani, even worse, for a series of tweets. He was never physically present at a protest. Huw, 0 days in jail. He had pics of children being raped. If I said what I want to happen to Huw and other pedos, I would be jailed for incitement. And I just think, you look at the sentences for the likes of Wayne O'Rourke.
Yeah.
And, it's persecution of a particular type of person, and it is proof that there is two-tier justice in this country.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Lucy Connolly. She still sat in jail on bail until her hearing for something she said. Now, what those two people said, I could say worse if I wanted to about pedos and my thought of what should happen to them, Huw Edwards and others, and all the people that just get away with it, right? If I had to get off Twitter because I actually thought, oh my God, if I carry on the way I'm feeling at the moment and I say the wrong thing, I'm going to have the police knocking at my door, putting me in jail for 2 weeks because I want to say far worse than what.
Well, actually, you'd be lucky to get 2 weeks, Leilani, more like 2 years.
2 years, sorry, 2 years, exactly. And I'd be locked away for incitement for saying something about, because, you know, and then I've had people mention that on Twitter, and they'll say, well, you know, they said this or they said, I said, okay, so what you're saying is that if I was to say it about a paedophile, I should be in jail too. Oh no, that's okay if you say it about paedophiles, in my opinion. That's what they would say. But it's like, no, this is why you can't do, this is why it's a problem. If you stop free speech, you stop it for everything. You stop it for everything. So you can't say, oh, I can react this way to a paedophile, but I can't react this way to being so angry about 3 little girls getting murdered. And that's the problem. When you start putting people away for saying something out of anger on social media with no intention of actually following through, with no intention of being at the protest or doing what they said, if they say it out of anger and take it down, if you start doing that, then they'll do that for everyone, and that sets the precedent, and that's it for us all.
Totally true. Look, sometimes dark humor is appropriate in these situations.
Yes.
You both know how much I adore Andrew Lawrence, the comedian, and he's back today as the BBC Director General.
It's lovely to see a happy ending for Huw. I can't imagine how difficult the past few months have been for him. You know, none of us is perfect. We all make mistakes. Huw did do some regrettable things, but we have to take his mental health into account. Sometimes when people are really struggling with their mental health, they can get a bit noncy. That's just a fact of life. Listen, he's been through the ringer. It's time to cut the guy some slack. He went to court, the judge let him off with a suspended sentence. He's a free man, no prison time, and I think that's fair. I mean, come on, it's not as if he wrote some hurty words on Facebook, is it?
And June, the crazy thing is, that's not all too dissimilar to that news report on the BBC that I just played you.
I know.
Which wasn't
that's
a spoof.
Scary thing. That's what scares me about it, because we're being groomed by the media to accept anything from them. Oh, well, he did that, which is a really foul act, isn't it? Look, if you think it's okay, if these journalists think it's okay, go home tonight and imagine your dad doing it. Just go home tonight and have a think about your own dad saying, no, I can't come for my dinner tonight because I'm having a look at some kiddie photos that are being forced into doing things that will affect them for the rest of their life. Just imagine that, and then come back tomorrow and do your piece to camera and tell me how you feel, because that's what it's about, really. And Andrew Lawrence, there's a bloke who follows me, thinks he's serious. I had to tell him today. I said, no, it's a wind-up. It's irony. He's being ironic.
And we need these comedians who are prepared to push the boundaries and tackle these taboos of a woke society, right?
Yeah.
That's why I did the job vacancy for the BBC, looking for nonces.
Oh yes, we have that, June. I'm not sure if I can read it out, but your ex profile is the place to go for the nonce job advertisement. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.